Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 15 of the anime series Ushio to Tora, and this was all kinds of balls to the wall. This episode was just so freaking action-packed and punch after punch after punch after punch. Just amazeballs. You know, I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed the hell out of this episode, picking up right where we left off with this bus that Ushio is on, careening down this sort of mountainside highway, crashing through cars, completely succumbing to the possession of the Hio and everything like that. And it was very interesting to see in the aftermath of Tora's and Akiba Nagare's fight in the previous episode. You have Nagare basically telling Tora, you know, because of his being one of these trainees to the wielding of the beast spear, he feels somewhat responsible. He feels like he's got to intervene. He can't let this just unfold and not take action. This bus that has become possessed and all these innocent lives that are at risk, he's got to do something about it. And Tora's just like, I'm going to watch, you know, I'm just going to see, this is going to be my entertainment for the day and everything. And the sheer magnitude and the sort of, you know, process by which all three of these characters, that is to say Nagare, Tora, and Ushio himself, the way they all come together and they topple the Hio's effects was just spectacular. My eyes were glued, my mouth was agape, I was like on the edge of my seat, just goosebumps watching this entire effect. You know, Nagare is the one who comes up with this idea, but he's like slicing off the front and back halves of the bus, which is insane, by the way, because it's still careening down the highway, and it looks all kinds of nasty as well, with the Hio being very sperm-like, as I talked about in my previous episode discussion video. It's like opening a wound and all this crap is inside. It looked absolutely blood-curdling and nasty, but to see that then, you know, Tora is meant to use this powerful breath. He's like frickin' the Superman of yokai, you know, because he's got all these different powers, the flame-throwing fire breath, you know, the electricity powers, just the physical prowess and strength that he wields, as well as now super breath. You know, he tells Ushio, get everyone in the center of this bus, and he blows them out the front end of it. And you have Nagare coming under the attack of the Hio when they realize what they're trying to do, but even his prowess is too much for them. He like electrocutes them off of him and creates this sort of soft barrier for all of these innocent lives to then be deposited on the road, you know, fall down not to their doom and all this stuff. And it was just entrancing. It was spectacular, the entire sequence. And it's very interesting to me how, you know, after the fact, Ushio's very much feeling guilty. After he stabs through the floor of this bus and it's careening and he stops it, the whole thing explodes like a nuclear explosion. All the Hio are completely wiped out. And then he sees these two women who he saw on the bus earlier that, at least to my estimation, looked very much in sort of character design, very reminiscent of his two friends, Nakamura and Inoue. And I think this escalated his sense of guilt. You know, it was a very innocent prospect to get on a bus, trying to travel from point A to point B, trying to track down his mother. But because of that simple act, he brought this whole unyielding havoc on all of these people, and yet another bus driver killed, I guess, in the wake of this. But all these innocent lives, even though they were saved, he feels responsible, and he feels very guilty about it. He, you know, apologizes to these two women. The one seems to have twisted her ankle and is injured. And again, I think it was that much more impactful to him because maybe he could reflect looking at them and be reminded of Nakamura and Inoue, who have had run-ins with the yokai as through the course of the series we have seen. And I love the fact that, you know, Nagare seems to be warming to Ushio. You have all these people who you think, you know, they've trained to wield the beast spear and they might be gunning for Ushio, much as we saw in the previous episode. And it seemed to be Nagare had those interests until he caught wind of Tora and they had their fight. But it seems like, because Nagare is basically like the Tora, you're right, you know, I kind of agree with you. There's never a dull moment with this kid around, with Ushio around. And he's enjoying it. And I think when he saw the sheer power and prowess that Ushio wielded in his transformation, you know, harnessing the power of the beast spear to stop that bus and everything, you saw him wide-eyed. You saw him taken aback by it. And I think maybe, it may be too soon to say, but I feel like maybe he's warming to the idea that, yes, the beast spear has made its chosen, you know, profession as to who is to be its true wielder, you know, as all the prophecies and everything say. It seems as though he is not so willing to fight Ushio as might have been his earlier impetus at this point. And I love that. I love that he's like, I know where you're going, hop on the back of the bike. If you get that puss face off your, that pathetic expression, and Ushio's kind of ticked off at that. But I love that he's kind of buddying up to him and I'll take you where you need to go and all this stuff, even with Tora in tow. And they end up being caught up by, of course, another little biker gang. And I'm like, uh-oh. Who the hell are these people? Turns out sort of a flunky in the training of trying to attain the power to wield the beast spear. This woman, June, this biker chick who, maybe it's just me, it seemed like her head was that much bigger than her body. It didn't quite look proportionate. Just could have been the hair, I guess. But you definitely get the sense right off the bat that there's something more going on with her. And we have this brief glimpse of this guy in a hotel room, like worming out. It's like, who the hell is this? What's going on here? I didn't immediately recognize that he was from, the OP animation and who he would turn out to be, her brother, Moritsuna, who is possessed by the Hio. They've actually embedded within him. And he, whereas I figured when he would enter the fray, as we heard in dialogue, that he was going to be involved, I had kind of assumed maybe he would be the character to be very stoic and very accepting of Ushio's power, but it actually flipped it on its ear, very much making Nagare that guy. And this guy comes along and he's just trying to unleash holy hell on all of them. He's on the attack. He sends these giant monsters. Tora calls it two different things. He calls it a Haruko and then a Shikigami, and we actually do hear Moritsuna calling it Shikigami, like, I don't know, like, oh, so much Pokemon. Shikigami, go, at one point in the episode. But I don't know what the hell it's called, but the point is it's this giant snake-like wormy creature monster thing, very much disconcerting, not so much as, the Hio themselves, but because of this possession, of course, the only way they can do anything is to go on the attack, and it's temporary. Tora intervenes, takes out this creature, sends him packing, but he promises he's going to see Ushio again. And at that point, I was thinking, well, that'll probably be a couple episodes from now. I did not expect the rebound to happen within this same episode, as we have this really sort of emotional moment telling the backstory of June and her brother, and how even in the wake of their childhood, he saved her life. But she was terrified by it, terrified by the monsters, terrified by all the seeming blood or gristle or whatever it was that her brother, as this child, is wielding. Very happy to have saved his sister, but she was completely unnerved and ran off. And she just wants to be able to thank him for that. I guess there have been tumultuous ties between them because she's been looking for him for some time and been out of contact with his being possessed, all that kind of stuff. And it's absolutely compelling to see him, as I say, rebound unexpectedly within this same episode, trying to, he's bitch slapping his own sister and everything, and that ticked me off because I have a little sister. I'm like, you don't do that. Nobody does that, not even me. That just pissed me off, something awful. He does it twice in the episode, and he's going to kill her because of that, Hio possession. You have Ushio just barely getting that spear to knock the blade out of his hand and all this kind of stuff. And finally, she just embraces him. She won't let go. And I don't know what exactly this transformation was, sort of instilled by, whether it was just her glomming onto him like that or what. But he wakes up out of it, and we're already told when Ushio contacts the Elder of Ungaikyo, which I have to say, I love that we're calling back on these other allied characters, yokai and human alike, which has been I've been touching upon that every time I'm talking about this series as of late, that I love that Ushio's seemingly building a group of allies that he can call back on for help in his efforts. But he gets back in contact with the head of the mountain yokai, and is trying to find out, is there some way to take out these possessive Hio? And he's told, no. Unless you can somehow find a way, become a spirit in a sense yourself, to enter his body and do so from within, there's no way. He's lost. And that was utmost compelling because, of course, once he is snapped to and once he's back out of it, and he realizes what he's done, all the horror he has caused, and the attack of trying to destroy the beast spear for Hakumen no Mono, in effect, he just backs up to that, sort of barrier, that guardrail, and lets himself loose over the side, and that's where we end. It's just like, whoa. Like, geez. This whole episode, it was just tantamount action, again, punch after punch, and it was freaking balls to the wall awesome. Just, like the half point, from the half point of the series, everything has been great from the start. But from the half point in the last few episodes, it's gotten that much better. Like, they've just gotten better and better and better. More compelling, more action-packed, more drama and emotion going into the debuts of these new characters. And I'm loving every cotton pick a minute of it. And what really intrigues me is the tag for the next episode. Promises next transformation. I think Ushio is going to make that sacrifice. He's going to risk it all, risk losing himself to jump in at the last minute and try to, save Moritsuna. I'd be very surprised if that wasn't the case. And it's going to be intriguing to see if there are any lasting effects, if he succeeds at all, and he can get back out of there. Whether he's going to become transformed, in fact, be something different. And that's something that I've been speculating toward the build-up to the eventual face-off with Hakumen no Mono. I did postulate at one point in one of my previous episode discussion videos. Could we see Ushio and Tora very literally, come together, sort of mix both of their powers to become a hybridization of each of them, which would be utmost compelling, but it would also be kind of a loss of both of them, or they would be so transfixed within each other, it would become something altogether new. If that were to happen, that's just my own speculation. I'm not going to, wait with bated breath to see that happen. I don't know if that's even a possibility, but suffice to say, everything this show has been doing the last couple of episodes, and really from the beginning, but especially from the half point on, has been dead on frickin' awesome sauce. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 15 of Ushio to Tora. If you've seen it, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, were as on the edge of your seats as I was. If not, why not? Let me know in the comments below whatever you have to say about the series, whether it's love it, hate it, anything in between. We can agree to disagree. Love having the conversation. So yeah, otherwise that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.